anyway, I'm Mary Matz. I'm Shore Community Services Senior Philanthropy Officer. Basically, I fundraise for a non-for-profit that serves children and adults with intellectual and other developmental disabilities. Shore's been around since 1951, so we're going to be celebrating 70 years in January. January 3rd is our specific birthday, if you will. And our mission is to improve the quality of life for persons with intellectual and other developmental disabilities through educational, residential, vocational, and related programs provided with community integrated supports and services. Basically, we want to try to make people with disabilities as independent as possible. And that's been what we've been doing for the last 7 decades. Shore was founded by Thomas and Lois Lloyd. Lois and Tom had a daughter named Patricia, Patty, affectionately known as, and back in the late 40s, there were no schools for children with developmental disabilities. At that point in time, it was more of a, oh, you have, a child that back then that term was used, mentally retarded. You either institutionalize them or just pretty much lock them up and not keep them, like in any type of school because there weren't any schools available. Lois was a teacher and she just was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Basically, I want my daughter to have the same opportunities as other children. And so basically, she started a school in the basement of her home in Evanston and basically got other children that were not in school to come to her school. And basically, over the course of time, that school grew and they just bounced, when I say literally bounced, around churches in Evanston, just because obviously their basement wasn't that large. Until they started they became a pilot program for the state of Illinois. And that was basically to see if children with developmental disabilities could be, at that time, they used the term trainable. Could they be really trained to learn anything in school? Well, clearly, yes, they can. And basically from that point, the school ended up incorporating into District 65, which is kind of like an Evanston Skokie school district, and became Park School. But you had to be at a developmental level above 30%. So that meant that basically Patty and children under 30 would still be in the predicament of not having an opportunity to be educated. So basically at that point in time, Shore started a capital campaign. They leased land from the Water Reclamation District, right on the edge of Evanston, right near Evanston Township High School, if anyone's familiar with the area. And they built a school for children that had developmental delays or developmental disabilities below that 30% threshold. And 1951 is when Shore incorporated. 1953 is when we became one of the pilot programs. And then in 1963 is when Shore built the school and it opened. And from there, basically as needs continue to grow, because obviously children don't stay children, they grow up and they're going to need more needs. Shore continued to expand on the program from. So 70 years later, basically we offered programs for infants to seniors. So we have an early intervention program. I'm going to run through the programs and then I'll get a little bit into detail more about what each program has to offer. Early intervention, adult services, and we have seniors program, as I mentioned. Life in Motion is a choice program. Vocational training, we have a program called True North Find Your Path, which is a career exploration and basically a career path program. Residential programs, home-based support, and behavioral health services. So our service area is, our programs are located in Skokie, Evanston, and Morton Grove, but we do provide services to 18 other Chicagoland communities, including there's a couple that do come from Lake County. So it's mainly Cook County, but a couple from Lake County. And over 300 individuals are served annually. What makes us unique, if you will, and I'll just kind of toot our own horn for a couple of minutes, is that basically we do accept individuals that have any type of disability. There are agencies that will not allow an individual to attend their day program, for instance, if they have medical needs, or if they cannot go to the bathroom by themselves, or they can't eat by themselves. We do have a number of programs, and I'll get into more detail, that can address basically any need that an individual has. We have a very high retention rate, roughly about 90% in comparison to the norm is about 50% for the developmental disability field. We have staff, long-term staff. I fall in that category with almost 23 years, but about 1/3% of our staff have 10 or more years of service at the agency. Our management or our senior leadership has a combined 112 years of service and 140 in the field of developmental disabilities. Registered nurses, we have them in our day programs as well as our residential programs, and they administer medicine and take care of any first aid needs. High marks on certifying bodies that goes from local, state, and federal. We also, if you want to say our consumer satisfaction surveys are always 95% or higher in terms of our clients and our families being happy with the services that are offered. Very low administrative rates. 88% of our resources do go to programming, with 12% for administration. We are CARF accredited. That is an internationally accredited organization, basically, so that we're adhering to the highest standards in terms of best practices in the field of developmental disabilities. We will be surveyed in the spring. Actually, I think it's going to be in the summer this year. And that will be our 17th. We're going on our 17th consecutive 3-year accreditation, which is the highest. And that is obviously, it's a big deal because obviously we've been doing this for almost 50 years with standards that are very high. And our last one 3 years ago, we had 100% on our survey, so we were very proud of that one. GuideStar rating of platinum, which is less than 5% of agencies nationwide. So that's in terms of transparency and best practices with just finances, really anything related to the agency. We're not hiding anything, let's just tell you that much. So looking at the programs that we offer, our largest one would be our vocational program, and that's at the Joseph Koenig Senior Training Center in Morton Grove. Prior to the pandemic, we had roughly 150 clients enrolled, and that obviously with just safety and social distancing taking into account, when we were able to reopen, because we were closed basically from March to early September, and when we reopened, we had to obviously make a lot of accommodations just to keep people 6 feet apart and then some. So obviously the enrollment has dropped quite a bit from that standpoint, but we are hoping with these vaccines that people will feel a little bit more comfortable about coming back to work. And so the vocational services that we offer are for individuals 16 or older. Basically, they're there to enhance somebody's ability to work and to maintain that. So learning job skills related to whatever the job they're doing. We have employment services. There's ways to help our individuals improve their job skills. And obviously, we want them to maximize as much of their earning abilities as they can. And then we do subcontract with businesses in the area, local businesses, and our clients do a lot of packaging, fulfillment, and assembly type jobs that they are paid for. And that is just some examples would be spouts, gas spouts. Midwest Can is one of the companies that we do contract with. We have done well over 1 million of these spouts, putting them together, or sanding blocks for a company called Trimtex. There's a lot of businesses that need things repurposed, like into smaller containers, smaller packaging elements that we can price out on. And so community employment is obviously one of the bigger areas in terms of clients getting jobs in the community. Ultimately, that is what we strive for. We will look at our employee employers, we do have a number of them we contract, I won't say contract with, but partner with, that are always looking for employees. So we look at what our individuals can do and what they want to do, and look at some of these employers in the community and help them kind of match up on the job front. And our job coaches are there to help basically get them settled into their position, and if new tasks are given to them that they may have a little bit of trouble just comprehending or just getting used to doing, those job coaches will help them get used to that activity. And then basically with those job coaches, the job coaches do follow up, and we don't charge these employers either. So it's kind of like a nice little, I'll just say an extra hand, just to kind of say, okay, you know what, so-and-so is not able to do this, or they're having a hard time, you know, like following directions or something like that. We'll certainly work with both the employer and the client to help them work out whatever needs to be done, because we obviously don't want them getting fired. So we're there to help support them in any way that we need to. True North, Find Your Path program. That's kind of a program that in Illinois, obviously, an individual will go to school up until they're 21. So once they graduate, it's kind of like, all right, well, what do you want to do with your life? A lot of clients don't know what they want to do. They haven't had the opportunity to explore what's out there. So this program was set up as a way to kind of be a buffer into what's out there in the world. There's job shadowing that's available, and we've partnered with a number of businesses as well, just to kind of familiarize the client with what kind of work activities might be expected of them. Volunteering is always a good way to just kind of obviously get involved in the community and learn skills that can be transferred into other employment opportunities. This program too does job placement. They have supportive employment. This program has a little bit more on the recreational side of activities in the community, just because people may not want to work all day, let alone, you know, from their home. Anyway, I'm sorry. Mobility training is offered, computer skills, internet usage, you know, it's like just looking for jobs, Googling safe internet usage as well. And then we have a number of programs that we use for soft skills in the workplace. So, you know, like, how do you dress when you go to work? You know, like, what's the proper way of, you know, keeping, you know, hygiene in place? You know, like not coming in all wrinkled. Just other, there's hundreds of different skills on that computer program that we do use, but it's helping our individuals to just learn to adapt even to just different work environments. Shore Training Center, that's our clinic center. We have a number of businesses, as I kind of mentioned, in terms of the packaging, assembly, and fulfillment. There's over 25 different types of jobs that we can contract to do, and our clients do get paid for that. We have a worm farm, and so our hardworking worms are producing what we call vermigold. It's basically a mixture of potting soil and the casings from worms, and they really do have some nutrient-rich soil, and that's something that the clients have been harvesting, and we do sell the soil. And the other big business at the Koenig Center is our Shore E-Cycle. So in terms of electronic recycling, we are R2 and RIOS certified, which is basically the highest standard when it comes to recycling, obviously responsibly, and looking at the safety of the worker, not only the worker, but the environment as well. But that is something that we've done for a number of years now. It obviously employs our clients. We have a convenient drop-off location at our training center in Morton Grove. We do offer, you know, larger pickups, you know, from other businesses and other companies, and even like individuals in the area, if they've got a whole basement full of computers. A lot of them will be even repurposed. We do wipe the hard drive. So there's a lot of things that they do on the security front just to not, you know, like, they basically take these computers apart if they are not in any shape to be like repurposed, and then they're sold to an upstream vendor that basically buys different parts. They're commodities, and so they have different values. It's kind of a neat operation. And then there's a small charge for that service as well. But we love the environment, so we are trying to stay green as much as we can. That's one of our day programs. The other day program, and both are for adults. They could be as young as 18, but it's usually, we'll see a lot of these clients after they finish school at 21. The adult program that we offer is in Skokie. That's at our Lois Lloyd Center. And that location has the adult program, seniors, and a program called Life in Motion. And I'll get into both, or actually all three briefly. But the adult program would be for individuals that have more moderate to severe and profound developmental disabilities. A lot of them are medically fragile, so they do need to have a nurse on site, just because we have a number of clients who are diabetic. They need insulin. We have one client who needs G-tube feeding, which is done obviously while they're at the day program. But those are two things in particular that a lot of agencies don't offer the service, so then the client would not be able to attend because clearly they need to eat and they need their insulin. So those are just a couple of examples of, and we obviously with this full-time nurse, the state doesn't reimburse us for having a nurse on that site, but we feel it's imperative just because of the fragility of a lot of these clients. But they do what we call adaptive daily living skills. So they're working on independence, if you will, just brushing their hair, washing clothes, cooking. We have a kitchen at this site. They're working on other enrichment activities as well. So just horticulture, music. They do a lot in the community as well, making that just obviously a normal way of living. Exercise, we do arts and crafts, they do literature, we have a sensory room, and they do a number of other holiday activities. That's just kind of reading. They go, well, not at this moment, but they have participated in this Skokie Library, had a reading program as well. So just trying to keep our clients as integrated as much as possible in the community is our biggest goal. And this program also has a senior program, so for adults who are 55 or older, and they may have retired. A lot of them have worked in the community, but now they just are like, you know what? I need a leisure activity. I need to do something that's not work related. I don't want to go to our training center. So the senior program is really looking at retaining the skills and ability of the adults, especially as they get a little bit older. They do activities that are going to be more stimulating to the senses and the memory. And then it's a social interaction activity, like just being able to hang out with other people of their age. And they do a lot of this similar activities, as I mentioned, arts and crafts and music and fitness. And they do a lot in the community as well. The Life in Motion program is basically what we would call our, it's kind of, it's giving the client more options as to what they want to do. And so a lot of those activities that I mentioned, they may even do more, they decide on what kind of outings they want to do. They want to, do something for the holidays. They might say, okay, I want to make some, sugar cookies. Well, they're going to plan on that, on site as well as in the community. We have a number of residential programs. So moving from day programs to residential, because obviously they're adults, and as they get older, a lot of families are not able to care for their loved ones. So looking at residential placement, that is probably one of the things that is the hardest, just because there are so few openings, even in the state of Illinois, as a whole. So just in terms of getting on a waiting list, that's something that it could take 10+ years, only because of the fact that it is a lifelong disability. And usually once a client is placed in a residential home of some sort, they may be there, the rest of their adult lives. I mean, we have a couple of, at least one client who's almost 80, who's been with us, 30 some years, so that's just something that's going to be something that needs to be considered. With our residential services, we do offer a number of types of homes, and that can range from clients that need very little intervention. That's part of our supported living arrangement program, to adults that need 24-hour supervision. So we have community integrated living arrangements are basically homes in the community. We don't keep our logo on any of our homes just because we want our clients to be, just integrated, so that they're not like, oh, that's that agency over there. No, that's where they live. That's their home. They want to be, neighbors to you, and not be treated any different because they, are associated with an agency.